part, I would like to invite Dr. Ro Anderson to start the panel discussion. This discussion will be about the observation from the discussions you have had in different tables about different topics.
You have it, right?
Great, thank you. I'm having a visual challenge with some of these posters.
Yes.
So if we can just kind of move them so we can see everybody. What I'd like to do is, we're under strict orders that we have very few minutes for this panel. It's just going to be a few reflections about what the judges and the sponsors have thought about this event. And then we'll get to the awards and things. But what I'd like to do right now is have all of us give a huge round of applause to the IDR. It has been absolutely well done, folks. Okay, each of the judges, sponsors here has 1 minute to offer a reflection. That will be a challenge.
Thank you very much for thinking on me to go first. I just had 2 or 3 general observations. First of all, I was struck by the number of tables that had opted for the local scale. I think that was interesting to me, particularly since one of the things that I do during my day job at the moment is to help the campus think about the next 6 to 10 years at Virginia Tech and the whole idea of the Virginia Tech experience. So to see so much thought and innovative thought go into the idea of energy sustainability, communications and so on campus was really nice for me to see. I thought it was interesting too. I don't know whether, I didn't talk to anybody about this. Don't start the clock yet. As to how you came to choose between the 3. I'll maybe talk to some of you some other time about that. Between the challenges of thinking globally versus medium and local scale. I particularly like those presentations that were able to articulate how the different members of the team brought their expertise, their disciplines to bear. I would have liked to have seen a little more about how those contributions were, how you thought they would interact together, so to move from multi-disciplinary to inter or transdisciplinary. And last of all, I particularly like the one aspect of the table that I won't name, I won't number, thinking about reducing imports to Blacksburg. One of their priorities was to set up a local brewery, and I thought that campus town, that was an example of very focused and sharp thinking.
I'm going to stand so I can see. I like the process. I think that as I went to the tables that I was supposed to go to and then listening to other ones, it just reminded me of sort of that accordion, that I was like listening and watching you really stretch out, and then no, let's come back in and focus, and it was that sort of process of in and out that by the next time I came around, you begin to see those ideas shape. So I want to congratulate you on really jumping in and thinking about what could be, and then fine-tuning it, and coming back out, and then making the pieces together. So the process of thinking, and then the networking of your ideas, and then I think within the disciplines too, or across the disciplines that were there, that as you were speaking and drawing and so forth, it was really very good to hear you thinking, bringing yourselves into the process, and yet hearing what your colleagues had to say. So good job.
I'll go ahead and stand. So I'm Christy Collins from BBI. I think it was interesting because out of the 3 that I judged, there was 1 on each of the levels, the global, the local, and then specifically to Virginia Tech. And it was interesting in that for each one of those problems, there was the same, or at least it seemed as if there was the same amount of of energy and really thinking and centric thinking about that particular problem, and how do you have either a real world situation, and then how could you possibly take and move forward and adapt and look at that and look at that problem. Probably one of my favorite ones, and the only reason why I mentioned this is because I really loved it, was trying to generate electricity through the Sandman song and having a pad under everyone's foot, and while the Sandman's going on, you're jumping, and then that's creating energy, and then that can run some of the. So I really like that idea. That was pretty great.
I'm going to stand up too. Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to all of you, and more importantly, wow, this was extremely well done. All this, creativity was just very evident. One of the things that I liked the most tonight was the fact that some people actually took the time to do like a real-time demonstration on their activity. So with that, I just want to say, great job. Thank you.
Boy, as I think about all three of the projects I spent time with, it really struck me that the sense of collaboration, or sort of the unhesitating collaboration at each of the tables, was really impressive. It struck me that everybody was participating and sort of actively engaging one another in the projects and the discussions, which was really exciting to see. Again, I think the diversity of projects, like Christy said, there was sort of the international and the local, and there really wasn't a sense that at any level one was more important. These were all very important and relevant issues, so it was very exciting to see. I did like seeing one, particularly about the arts in Blacksburg, because that's actually a very real conversation going on now. So to sort of see these new and fresh ideas around that topic was great. So thanks.
Well, I had a blast. It's the most fun I've had since I've been at Virginia Tech in the past 6 months. So congratulations, everybody. I know my life must seem pretty boring. That was great. You guys are all great. So I just want to make 4 points quickly. Number one, I was impressed by thinking about scaling up and down and going back and forth. In my opinion, most successful interdisciplinary scientific projects include people who can move easily between scales, and I saw examples of that. Great. Secondly, I saw sometimes, but not always, something I think is very important, thinking about motivation and behavior and the economics of anything from engineering to chemistry, whatever it might be. That's real world stuff, and these are real world problems. And ultimately, human behavior and decision making and all that has to be moved or influenced to do big stuff. And a lot of you were incorporating that and feeding back down to the engineering or the biology or chemistry, and I thought that was great. I really liked seeing what I call the Holiday Inn Express behavior. I sat in a few groups and saw people who clearly were not the expert in subject A picking up on subject A and talking about it, and in a matter of minutes you all became experts. And that's great, because that is really the way it is. We can all learn in our discipline, become an expert at that point. If you're spending time with other people who are smart like all of you and motivated, you start to feel confident, right? And you start to feel like you can dive in the other areas and build your confidence. And then lastly, I saw a lot of cool examples of things. One always stick with me is the project using marketing to show that somebody sitting on a dock around excrement, that can be sexy, and you can market that. So I love creative ideas. That's a real important thing. So you guys are terrific.
Well, I have one favorite saying that I normally use in all the forums. I normally say that birds are creativity, bloom at the intersections. And if you bring different disciplines together, that's when the creativity comes along. And I saw that ample example of that. And actually at some tables where we had people from different disciplines, the more divergent they were from each other, the better creativity I saw. And if we had like all the people in one or two disciplines sitting together, you would see that they think alike and they have the same approach to the problem. So I think interdisciplinarity, as you know, we have already gone over the explanation of that, it really is the next frontier when it comes to the exciting research and creativity. So the innovation happens at the intersections, so the creativity, innovation, and I saw a lot of them. There were some very cool projects. The global scale was absolutely beautiful, and I could see how they can, as Mike just mentioned, the ability to go across different scale is also a part of having meeting at the intersections. Great job done. I had a wonderful evening despite my allergies. So thank you very much for making this evening so pleasant for all.
A couple of comments. What I observed was a whole lot of energy. I mean, you walk into this room, before we started and throughout the whole thing, there's a lot of noise, good noise. I mean, it was great. The conversation, a lot of talking, a lot of listening, a lot of communicating. I mean, but there was just a whole lot of energy, great ideas that are generated. I'm trying to figure out, you know, how we can get funding to, you know, to do some of these. I did also notice there was a lot of bribery going on, as some of us were walking around. No bad joke on that. I know we're getting ready for the awards. No, not yet.
No, those
Yes.
awards, a set of awards.
Yeah, okay, but
First, we need to open discussion.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting my cues here. So now it's your time to talk with us. And Jordan, are you doing this?
Sure, I'll just run around with the mic.
Okay.
So if you would like to comment about your experience of this, raise your hand and I will sprint to you. We'd like to hear what you guys felt about how was this, how was talking to other people who in disciplines you might not normally talk to, the process of having an hour and a half to solve a major global problem, anything of that sort. Comments on this experience.
Wow, I'm gonna go and buy a whiteboard today. So as I was walking throughout the room, there was one thing, I mean, of course the topics were very different, but one thing that I really liked was how our ideas can kind of fit in with others and grow and make things bigger. And one of the most interesting things that I think that would fit perfectly with what we did, which is making the city more art savvy, is there was one problem on how to, what is it that we're going to do to give a better tour of Blacksburg and the campus to prospective students when they come. And I think that the way that we have designed it and the way that they have designed it, I think kind of can come together to give prospective students a very good idea of how great Hokies are.